Hi, welcome. Carries to you. It is 6 o'clock on Friday, the 29th of May, 2026. And I will firstly ask if you have anything to take notes. I might say something interesting. I've just been thinking of the webinar, for want of a better word, webcasts, where someone joins me and we have a discussion about a biblical subject, like a Bible study with two or three other people, or however many people seek to join. Uh, 6 p.m. on, or 11 a.m. or 6 p.m. every day of the week except for Wednesdays and Sundays. You can just log into Zoom and I'll be here talking. Now, if somebody else logs in and joins me, we'll talk about a biblical subject like a Bible study. The next one, if anyone joins me, will be angels, demons, and spiritual warfare, the unseen realm, according to the Bible. However, I have been doing one of two things if no one joins me. I have either been giving a random message or doing a verse by verse Bible study. I tend to mostly do random messages, though my intention is to stop doing the random messages and just continue with the verse by verse Bible studies. Though, because it's not a regular daily thing, I get back to the Bible study every couple of weeks and I wonder if I've gone past a certain point, where am I up to? I think I'm up to the middle of Mark. I might still be in Matthew. I've done a couple of them actually, and I've gone back and restarted in Matthew a couple of times. So it would be useful, though I think before I do that verse by verse Bible study, what I'm going to contemplate right now is whether I just continue on the list of subjects, even if I'm by myself. As I mentioned, the next one's angels, demons, and spiritual warfare, etc. And following that will be the sovereignty of God, trusting Him in all circumstances. Then following that will be dealing with doubt, addressing questions in faith. And following that, it'll be navigating LGBTQ plus conversations with truth and love. And following that, it'll be eschatology, the end times, second coming, and understanding biblical prophecy, etc. They go on. There is, I'm guessing, maybe about 100 odd subjects, probably more than 100 subjects that I've written down and I've tried to put some order to. And they're in order from not knowing about Christianity, about God, etc., to knowing the absolute basics, to uh, building a relationship with God, and then to advance by a more in-depth subject all the way along till it gets to 100 odd messages, and there will be relatively advanced messages at that stage. So I have a question for myself right now. Should I just automatically go on, whatever that chosen subject is? Should I organize the verse by verse Bible studies so I know where I'm at and I do it regularly enough that I'm not doing random messages like this anymore? Or should I continue with these random messages? I don't know because so few people, while I'm doing these messages, have been watching these messages that I don't really have much feedback. Would people watch more if I did specific messages like those ones I just mentioned on specific topics? Or would people watch more if I did a verse by verse Bible study? Or do people actually like the random videos? They're just not watching them. Am I saying things that are not up to par, that are not as good as the average pastor or the average teacher or the average evangelist or whatever? Would that be the reason people are not watching? Am I maybe at the other end? Am I so in depth when I get into the Greek words uh, that people are just not keeping up and they're not watching because I get highly in depth? Are people not watching because what I say might be controversial and they may feel that I'm having a go at them? I'm not directing these messages to anyone in particular. And if you're convicted by them, it's not me convicting you. I don't know who you are when you're watching this. If you're convicted, it's something that I've said that will have a biblical foundation. If I say something about living your life as a Christian or the Christian walk or what God does and does not accept, what God expects of you, etc., I will give biblical verses for it generally. Some of the time I can't remember verses and will just generalize, but I'll tell you that it's generalized there, but otherwise I'll quote the particular verse. Is that the problem? These messages have not only been online for quite a while now. I started putting messages up not quite a year ago, but getting on towards that. And I started building the group about 9 months ago. And we're now at a point where there are around about 830 something people in the group. And I'm going to declare right now, out of about 830 people, there are probably about 8 people that are moderately active. And they are active across the board. If they are active in the group, they are also likely, highly likely, to be active in their own area, their own region, physical region, by being evangelistic, or they might be pastors or ministers or along the line, that kind of thing. But they are anyone that's active in the group, I've found, is also active in society. I've also found that it seriously is 1%. When there was 300 people, including myself, there was 3 active people. Myself, Monique Hollis, and Dave's surname has just dropped out of my mind for the moment. And when there were 400 people, there was probably one extra active person, not quite as active as us, but still active. Then Kevin from West Australia came along about, uh, when there was about 500 people and there were 5 people relatively active. Now, when I say relatively active, some of the time, some of us, the active few, will post messages, but even if they're not posting messages, these are the people that are responding to the messages that I'm posting. They're answering the questions and the like. And between all of us right now, there's only about eight. There's also Faith, and she's, I believe, in Melbourne, and she's quite evangelical. And we've got Robin, and she answers quite a few questions, etc. And I don't know much about Robin, but I imagine in her community, she's probably relatively active for God. And it seems to be the case that it is 1%, 1% of any church group, of any church uh, Facebook group like this are active, are people that step up to step out. Why am I talking about this? Again, like many of these messages, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and I just head down a certain track, whatever that track, wherever that leads me to. But what's that make me think of? It makes me wonder what it is that people need to shake them out of their complacency. After all, the Bible tells us quite a lot, especially through what Christ said, that complacency might as well be a sin. Christ gave a parable of a rich man that was going away, and he left 5 talents for one of his servants to take care of, two to another servant, and one to a third. And the one with 5 talents went out and invested it. The one with 2 talents went out and invested it. The one with 1 talent went and buried it. He did nothing. Complacency. And when the master came back, the parable says that the one with 5 talents had doubled it. The one with 2 talents had doubled it. And he said to them on separate occasions, "Well done, faithful servant. Now you will be in charge of lots." And the implication there was they maintained charge over all the talents they had. The one with 5 that then had 10 was then in charge of those 10 talents. I'll get to that in a moment. But the one with 1 talent that did nothing, the complacent one, the person that doesn't step out for God, the person that doesn't respond to a godly message, the person that's probably not even viewing godly videos like this, or they're probably not reading their Bible, they're probably just Christian in name and that's it. Well, straight out right now, if that's you, you're burying the talent. You're not doing anything for God or with what God has called you to do. So, firstly, what happened to that person and the talent? They said that they were afraid because the master would reap where he didn't sow. And the master said, "You evil," note that, by not doing something, by being complacent, he said, "You evil servant." So, by being complacent, God considers you evil. How's your complacency sitting on your heart right now? Am I convicting you? Well, in a sense, I'm hoping to. I want to shake people out of their complacency. Because what happened to that complacent servant? The master then said to the other servants, "Cast him out where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth." And weeping and gnashing of teeth is one of the references used for hell. But cast him out into torment, because they're also references for torment. We weep and gnash our teeth under tormented circumstances. But as I mentioned before, the one with 10 was now in charge of 10 because they weren't taken off him. Because what the master said at that stage was, now take the talent that the servant who had been cast out, take that talent and give it to the one who has 10. Not had 10 or made 5, has 10. So, whatever blessings that you use for God, whether it be financially, whether it be what you say, whether it be what you do, whether it be whether you go to a hospital ministry and visit people in hospital, or visit people in prison, or feed the hungry, or take care of widows, or whatever it might be. Even if it's just being faithful in church as an usher or a counselor or whatever it might be. Step up to calling. Do. Christianity is highly about doing. That's just one parable. There are multiple parables like that. There are parables of sowing and how crops grow, etc. Talking about evangelism and the like, and growing in um, your spiritual life. There's the parable of the sower, where some of the sower sowed seed. That means throwing it out to the ground so it grows. And some landed on the path, and that was useless. Some landed on the rocks, and that was useless. Some landed amongst the thorns, and that was useless. But what landed on good ground, and people receiving the word of God is the good ground. It grew, and the grain grew to um, heads of 30, 50, 100-fold. And fold means times, multiply. So we are to grow and produce more people in the kingdom, produce more money if you're giving, but that's not an important one. That's only a minor thing. Giving money is what many ministries really push you for, but giving money's not nearly as important as leading someone to God, showing someone the mercy and kindness of God, being charitable in other forms, visiting people in prison or the like. I'm convicting myself on this. It's like I'm starting to want to create a prison ministry, but A, I don't have the time. B, I'm not really called to do that. C, I'm already doing other tasks that are outside the area that I am called to. And even these messages are actually outside the area I'm called to. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not a prophet. I'm not an apostle, though I'm a little bit more apostolic than I am a pastor, teacher, evangelist, etc. But I do have traits of all of them somewhat. There are pastoral things about me that I'm teaching right now out of my head. And so there's a bit of teacher in me. I go out to the streets and do interviews to ask people what they know about God with the ideal result of the ones that don't have a relationship with God. I can help them turn to God by leading them to Christ, etc. I haven't been successful there yet, but the intent is there. So there's a little bit of evangelism there, and I can punch out a prophetic attitude, which is often a get your life right, attitude. Prophetic does not necessarily mean telling the future. It The word translated into prophet basically means a divine, an inspired speaker, somebody who speaks what God puts in their heart. So maybe I'm being prophetic now by speaking what God's putting in my heart. I'm probably being more prophetic than I am as a teacher because I'm not really teaching here. I'm just delivering what God's putting on my heart. So I'm delivering something out of inspiration. But my point was, what are you doing? I am quite happy to convict you right now. And I know that 99 out of 100 are not doing what they're called to. They're burying their talent. And what happens to those burying their talent? They get cast out to where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. The descriptive words for hell. Is that where you want to go? Oh, no, you said a sinner's prayer, so you're going to heaven. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Oh, you're going to tell people about the law and be really, really legalistic, and you're going to push people about what they stand for in God and how they need to stand up for the law, and that's not what being a Christian is either. Sharing the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control of God. Well, that's one thing. Expressing expressing the message that people need God in their life. That's certainly a major one. Being charitable, taking care of the widows, feeding the hungry, whatever else. That's certainly on the right path. That's not being a Christian, though, because Buddhists, they're charitable. Hare Krishnas, they're charitable. They give away food. What's the difference? Well, Matthew 7:20, I think it is, says, shine your light so that whoever sees your good deeds, and I'm not quoting this quite right, but close enough, will glorify your Father in heaven. Okay, well, shining your light, Christ is the light. So we're showing Christ to the world and doing that through good deeds, being charitable, so they glorify God. And how are they going to glorify God? Well, again, Buddhists and Hare Krishnas and everyone else are charitable. You must have identified that you're doing it as a Christian. So don't do charitable things without bringing, giving God the opportunity to be spread, the evangelistic side of charity. It's probably not really a good thing to say that charity is designed as an evangelistic tool, but it is a good thing to say that if charity can be used evangelistically, do so. So, anyway, where are you at? Where's your heart? Is your heart really for God? Or do you just want to live your life the way you live your life and go to heaven because you said a sinner's prayer once? As I said, it doesn't work that way. And it's not about doing what you do to work your way to heaven either. More correct, it is accepting the sacrifice that Christ made. And because of that, you then go discover what being a Christian is and what God wants from you, etc. And you do that by reading the Bible, reading the Word. You then build a strong relationship with God. And once you've built a strong relationship with God, your responsibility is to reveal God to the world. Shine that light. And if you're not adhering to your responsibility, you probably shouldn't be calling yourself a Christian. Does that mean 99% of people shouldn't be calling themselves a Christian? Well, if it's 8 out of 800 that are active, then yes, that's the case. And that's just in this group. Sure. Out of the 800 odd people in this group, there might be another eight that are ushers and counselors and greeters or whatever else in their church. They are active in other ways and they don't really have time to be active in this group. So, okay, well, that's 2%. It's not 2% of people, by the way, it's 2% of the church. And if I was to qualify other things, because we do have a few pastors and the like within this group that aren't active in the group, but they are pastors, etc. So we know they're active outside the group. So, well, maybe another 8, 3%. And if I can work it all the way up to 10%, 80 out of 800, then we're still looking at 90% of people that call themselves Christian don't even know that that is nothing compared to what God seeks from them. Okay, I am getting close to having spoken for half an hour, so I'll start to wrap up. What will it take for you to get active for God? Oh, that's what I was saying. So you make a commitment to God, and then you don't work your way to heaven. You might still do the same things by visiting the people in prison or feeding the hungry or whatever it might be, which somebody who's trying to work their way to heaven might do. The difference is you're doing it in the attitude of saying thank you for the sacrifice that Christ made. You're doing it because you are now unable to do anything for God, and you're merely a slave of Christ doing whatever he asks. The attitude's different. That's the big difference. So anyway, I'll get back to wrapping up. If this was a good message, give it a good rating. If it was a poor message, give it a low rating. Let people know what level of message it is, and people will watch the better ones more often. Good thing to encourage, isn't it? Wherever you're at in God, contact us, talk to us, let us know. And when I say us, I mean me, Dave, Monique, um, maybe people like Kevin in Perth. I can't think of his handle right now, his Facebook name, um, or Robin. Maybe I don't know. I can't speak on their behalf to say that they're willing to guide you further in God, but these are the people that are active in the group. So I think they'd be somewhat happy. I think Faith would be. Get active. Start talking to the active people. Let them encourage you. Okay. Otherwise, I might as well wrap up there. Bless you. Govern well. Car is to you.